Dave the Diver is just an incredibly enjoyable experience. The base game is packed to the absolute brim with content, yet it's still expanding to this day as it collects crossover DLC updates like their Infinity Stones. The game at its core, you are diving into the ocean by day to ethically collect sea creatures in a roguelite style loop that changes every single time you descend. Then at night you are running a sushi restaurant, which is a full-blown management sim where you serve those same fish for profit that you then use to upgrade your gear, allowing you to dive deeper for rarer and often more dangerous catches. What's wild is that both halves of the game, the diving and the restaurant sim, are equally addictive. You're not diving just to fund your sushi bar, and you're not running the bar just to afford better gear. It's one seamless, satisfying gameplay loop from sunrise to sunset. Best of all, you get to do it as a protagonist who represents the absolute peak male form. It is very refreshing to see a developer who understands that true masculinity, it doesn't look like this. It looks like this. It can also look like this. Honestly though, that barely scratches the surface. Over the 40 to 50 hour runtime, Dave the Diver keeps layering on systems, storylines, and side content. From farming and crafting to giant boss fights, even a fantasy story involving sea people. If I tried to list everything it offers you, this intro alone would be about 15 minutes long. So instead, let's dive right into one of the most enjoyable platinum hunts I've ever done. From catching that first fish, to running a multi-million-dollar autonomous sushi empire led by a monster capable of carrying 200 kilos of tuna up from 800 meters below sea level. So with all that said, please grab yourself a bevvy and kick back for the Dave the Diver Platinum journey. Now the game kicks off with Dave's old buddy / massive enthusiast of free labour, Cobra, convincing him to come check out his sushi bar by the Blue Hole, a bar which, minor detail, has no ingredients. So begins Dave's first dive, featuring thrilling mechanics like moving left to right and swinging a knife. And then after catching a whopping 3 tiny little fish, we're off to meet the Daniel Day-Lewis of sushi preparation, only slightly more over the top. This meeting of the minds is interrupted by an earthquake, causing the grand opening to be delayed until Dave the Diver can dive for 7 more fish and earn some cheeky pocket change. This first unrestricted dive really shows our hero starting his training arc, as he's only capable of diving to a meagre depth of 40 meters, carrying a paltry 9 kilos of fish before encumbrance. Back at the restaurant, our portly protagonist learns that he's been signed up to manage the restaurant floor because serving food is outside Bancho's method acting range. After running the floor with all the vigour and determination of a minimum wage Amazon employee whose bathroom break just got denied, we rake in a grand total of $103 dues.
Dude.
Following a few more inconsequential dives, we get to meet Duff, a character who has perhaps the coolest introduction I've ever seen in a video game. He allows us to bring a gun to a fish fight and grants us the Undersea Gunslinger trophy, and with that the Blue Hole just got a lot more bloody. The next day we meet the world-renowned researcher in Dr. Bacon. He introduces us to an app that allows us to upgrade our gear, bringing us the Better Equipment trophy. Then we get to grab trophy number 3 for reopening a restaurant that had... It's already been open for 2 nights, so I'm not sure why we get... Anyway, on our subsequent dive, we run into a white tip reef shark. A showdown to which Dave brings a fucking shotgun, grabbing the Angry Shark trophy. And you know what? Yeah, if someone from a species I don't hunt came to my territory and killed me with a shotgun, I'd be angry too. That's fair. Back at the restaurant, we grab trophy number 5 for enhancing 5 dishes, an act that is immediately shown appreciation. And once we hire our first staff member, we reach bronze ranking on the Cookster app to grab trophy number 6, while our new hire shows us how incredibly invaluable her assistance is. Are you gonna do anything? Afterwards, we grab the culinary researcher trophy for, well, researching some culinary dishes. Back onto the diving front, all of which have been unmitigated successes, we get to slaughter some humans for a welcome change, granting us a trophy for fostering friendship with a species far more terrifying than sharks. And we end this chapter by finding a deep underwater mural of a mermaid.
Merman. Merman!
Finally starting to reach depths where sunlight can't follow, we grab the Deep Sea Diver trophy. This first valiant attempt into the dark, ending after being absolutely bullied by an anglerfish, which earns us a trophy for failing a run. So, I mean, task failed successfully, I guess? On our second trip down, we grab a trophy for picking up 300 items, and then clearly learning our lesson about being encumbered in the deep dark sea, we run into a couple of mermans. We can't understand them yet, but fortunately Professor Pork can craft us a translator, so long as we bring him amethyst. And wouldn't you know it, that is exactly the material we just unlocked. What an incredibly convenient coincidence. Around this time, we catch a seahorse, which pops a trophy for catching 300 fish. For catching a seahorse. Actually, you know what? Huh. The more you know. Upon returning to the deep, the female merman, who is clearly enamored by Dave's rotund regality, asks us to carry her home. Along the way, we have to tussle with an 18-foot megamouth shark, which is a pretty imposing sea creature. Not quite as imposing as the Leviathan-sized wolf eel guarding the entrance to her house. This kicks off one of the game's many boss fights, each one visually incredible, offering unique attacks and honestly just really great fun. This one sees a sniper shell end our gigantic prey, and Dave, ever the consummate professional, carves up the behemoth for later consumption. Easily carrying 100 kilos of fish, we earn the Undersea Civilization trophy for reuniting Princess Merman with King Merman. Now, after regaling Headmaster Ham with the tales of Dave's latest dive, we begin some good old-fashioned interspecies diplomacy, which involves carrying objects from one place to another and gambling on fish racing. Along the way, we enlist the help of the true hero of this story to upgrade a few of our weapons, which unlocks the Arms Craftsman trophy. Checking back in at the bar, we now not only have staff that actually do work, but a profit margin that is big enough to actually pay them. We've also unlocked a vegetable farm for growing rice because we didn't have rice, as well as a fish farm. And no, this is absolutely not enough room for a healthy fish habitat. But don't worry, later on it'll get much, much worse. We also meet our friendly neighborhood cat's secret family for the Momo's Secret trophy. Now back down to the Merman village, we've done enough odd jobs to earn their trust, which unlocks a dumpling restaurant to grant temporary buffs, and a seaweed farm for, well, seaweed. The most important unlock, however, is Balatro. Like, they just put Balatro in this game. It doesn't have any trophies associated with it, but I got pretty addicted to this and played it for hours. Lastly though, the Mermen have opened access to the Glacial Passage, which is a small puzzle area filled with super cute zombie mermans, as well as a few murals that we have to photograph, which does earn us an associated trophy. After we solve the final puzzle in this area, we're treated to a pretty epic chase sequence with the zombie merman god. And honestly, I don't care how big or strong you are, you will not catch a guy with this much center mass in a swimming race. No chance. So once Mr. Compensating for Something finally goes down, we unlock a portal to the very last area of the game. Before exploring the glacial and prehistoric depths of the ocean, we advance our sushi bar to the second highest rank. We then unlock chickens at the farm and chronicle all of the merman murals for the Sea People Historian trophy. Altogether, pretty normal stuff so far. Just hold on to that thought though, because we then meet up with Godzilla and then infiltrate a false flag environmentalist dolphin meat processing plant to grab the only missable trophy in the game for scarfing down a Metal Gear Solid reference. We also unlock undersea blacksmithing. Just in case you didn't catch that, this is an underwater furnace. Then comes the ability to start catching fishmon, which are weird fish combinations, and we also get the ability to raise Tamagotchis. These two activities make up the game's only grindy trophies. Finally, we are off to the glacial area where we meet new NPCs such as Small Shark, Big Shark, Underwater Unicorn, and Mr. Smiles. We also come across Thor's hammer, and to prove we're worthy to hold it, we massacre a nearby fish to get the God of Lightning trophy. This is worthiness that we immediately reaffirm by slaughtering a further 20 fish for the Mr. Melee trophy. When we resurface, we get treated to the Dredge crossover DLC, which is my personal favourite. Diving on foggy nights is going to swap out normal fish for creepy aberrations that we can then sell to spooky hooded guys for absurd profits. These profits we're able to use to install sprinklers on our farm and then fully expand the veggie patch. That night we meet Afro Yakuza, kicking off the game's only paid DLC, which involves a short underwater combat sequence followed by a double dragon homage where you get to control two characters that you can swap between, and it ends with a boss fight where we get to control Eye Patch Yakuza. It does also bring with it a couple new recipes, a cocktail shaker, a karaoke minigame, a couple new staff members, and the ability to find a new melee weapon in your dice. Thing is though, by the time you unlock all of these things, they are completely obsolete. It's definitely a fun DLC, but I'm not entirely convinced it merits its price when the other offerings give a similar experience completely for free. Now back onto the sushi front, we have opened up a branch restaurant, essentially allowing us to double our profit each night, provided that we have the ingredients and staff to do so. We then very hygienically feed the cat family that hangs out on the corner of Bancho Sushi 20 times for the Catman trophy. We raise our local streamer staff members level to 20 to grab leadership, and closing this chapter, we finally hit the Diamond Restaurant rank for the Cookstar Influencer trophy. And then after sniping a bunch of defenseless fish, it is time to head to the bottom of the glacial passage. So deep down in this passage lie ancient geothermal vents, a recently thawed area full of not so extinct ancient aquatic nightmares, like the armoured Dunkelosteus, I believe that's pronounced correctly. There's also these absolute arsehole eels. It's also here that we're able to nab our last weapon blueprint, which grants us the Weapon Collector trophy. We go on to solve a few puzzle areas down here to unlock the deepest area of the game, an area that is guarded by a lizard that has been extinct for 100 million years. Do you think that when they pitched this game, they were like, so anyway, basically he dives for fish for his sushi restaurant, but then also a bit later he fights a 12-ton dinosaur. Anyway, after our drone carves its way through these prehistoric branches, we enter the last puzzle area of the game and get greeted by these pretty yucky prawn-like baby creatures. And as you'd expect, where there is a huge clutch of eggs, there is a mother around. Enter the last story boss of the game, and the only one that's actually kind of a challenge, thanks to its huge health pool and the bullet hell mechanics. It is actually the only boss that I died to in the entire game. Thing is though, a guy like Dave does not stay down for long, and after some help from our merman friends, we grab the Creature Hunter trophy for defeating every single boss, even though that wasn't actually every boss. Back at the restaurant, we are treated to a celebration for ending the earthquakes I mentioned exactly one time, and then get a trophy for shooting all of the dev names in the credits, and another one for simply viewing the credits. At this point, we are basically done. We research 30 dishes, we purchase new decor for the bar, and then sell 200 scrap items to the underwater blacksmith. And that leaves us with the last 2 trophies I mentioned earlier. These ones are time gated. We can only do one of them each every in-game week. So you could just skip time to speed them up and then grab an easy plat. The thing is, I was really enjoying this game, and there is a lot of content that is completely unassociated with trophies, such as completing the Pokédex, which unlocks the game's super boss, catching 2 of every fish to populate the fish farms, upgrading your staff's capabilities and further enhancing your dishes, upgrading and unlocking all of your guns, and of course, most importantly, just playing more Balatro. 10 hours after beating the story, we finally raise our 5th Tamagotchi for the Yow Master trophy, and we then locate our last Fishmon to grab the Strange Fish trophy, followed by the Best Diver Platinum trophy. Once again, Dave the Diver was an incredibly enjoyable experience. I can only hope that watching this vid you got even a fraction of the fun I did from chasing this platinum. I want to thank you all for watching all the way to the end, and as always I'd like to give a special shout out to the channel members for keeping this channel going. Dave the Diver was Platinum 81 on the account, and by the end of the next video that number is going to be much closer to 90. For now though, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you for the next one. Ciao.